Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k Necrons. So in today's video we're going to be doing a little bit more mathematics. This time we're going to be doing a bit of a comparison video between the two profiles from the Lokhust Heavy Destroyers. So we're going to be checking out the Exterminators going up against the Destructors and kind of working out what they're best at and what I prefer at the end of the day. But yeah guys, make sure you are dropping a subscription before we get into it. In fact, before we do get into it, I've got a bit of a shout out to do to our friends at the GameMaker 3D, who we'll be doing more with them in future battle reports when we get onto battle reports. But they're currently at the Essen Games Convention, which is in Germany, I believe. So if you're heading to the Essen Games Convention, they're going to be there on the 6th of October, and they're going to be at Area 1G113. So if you're there, go check them out. Yeah, give them a look. Right, let's get into the Heavy Destroyers. We've got the two profiles. Let's get the basics out of the way. The range weapons, you've got the Mythic Exterminators, which have got heavy, rapid fire 6, sustain hits 1, 36-inch range, 6 attacks per model, blitz skill 3+, strength 6, -1 AP, 1 damage. So very standard infantry weapon. I quite like it. As for the Ghost Destructor, it has got heavy with lethal hits, 48-inch range, so you've got a better range there, only 1 attack per model. Hit on 3, strength 14, -4 AP, and the damage is just a flat 6. It's just bang, 6 damage. Now they've both got the optimized for slaughter ability. So it's just kind of really cool because if you're going up against infantry with the Exterminator weapons, you're rerolling wound rolls of a 1, and if you're going up against monsters and vehicles with the Destructors, you're rerolling wound rolls of a 1. And that's their preferred targets, in fact. So you're effectively rerolling wound rolls of a 1 for your preferred target with that specific weapon. So a good ability. So let's get on to the mathematics to begin. Of course, we're going to be going firstly against some Necron stuff because we know Necrons better than anything. We will be doing some other ones later on. I've changed them up slightly, as you can probably see if you're remembering from the Lich Guard and the Immortals video we did. It kind of didn't make sense to just have what we had before. We needed to kind of change it slightly, ever so slightly, so we're going to get into that now. So if you're taking the Exterminators and you're going up against this Canoptic Scarabs, which are toughness 2 with a 6+ armor and 4 wounds apiece, you will be likely killing 3 of them. The AP -1 just takes away their armor save, and you've got all the shots. Now in fact, before we do, we need to go back a little step here. Even though they've got the heavy keyword as well as the rapid fire 6 keyword, for this part of the video, I'm not going to include the heavy, and I'm not going to include the rapid fire. We'll talk about the rapid fire in a moment, but heavy, I'm going to be doing that later on. Well, in fact, no, we're not. We're going to just be doing command protocols, which we'll do later on. But for now, I'm just going to kind of ignore heavy, even though it is a big deal. So, 3 Canoptic Scarabs dead, and if you're taking the Destructors, it's going to be 2 dead, because you're hitting on 3s. That's the part that stings. You're likely missing 1 on average, and then you're wounded on 2s. You should be killing 2. Going up against Necron Warriors with toughness 4, 1 wound models, you're going to have between 7 and 8 dead with the Exterminators. Again, not rapid fire range here. The AP puts them to a 5+ armor save, and Destructors, again, it's 2. It's all about getting the hit roll off. You've only got 3 shots in total, don't forget. Exterminators against the Combat Destroyers, between 1 and 2 go down because they are actually toughness 6 this edition. So you're now wounded on 4s, but you are re-rolling 1s because they are infantry, so that does help slightly. They are 3 wound models, so you do need to get 3 to go through to kill a model. So between 1 and 2 will go down, and the Destructors, yet again, it's just 2. You're wounded on 2s. It's that hit roll again, isn't it? It really is. Now things get a little bit different because we're going to be using the Doomsday Arc, which is a vehicle. So now the Exterminators aren't re-rolling 1s anymore, but the Ghost Destructors are. So if you're going up against the Doomsday Arc with the Exterminators, only expect between 2 and 3 damage. The Doomsday Arcs are toughness 9, I want to say, and you've got a 4+ invulnerable save, which doesn't really matter because it would just have a 4+ armor anyway at that point. So only 2 to 3 damage because you're wounding on 5s and you're not re-rolling anything. With the Destructor, however, with the 3 shots, you're hitting on 3s, likely miss 1. You are then wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s, so you're likely just about to get 1. I put like a little less than sign because it was slightly under in terms of averages, but the odds are you get at least 1 to go through. Well, you get 1 to go through, so I've just put a less than 6, just about 6 there. Of course, they're 6 damage weapons, aren't they? And then the Monolith, which is a toughness 14 weapon with a 2+ armor save. The Exterminators put it to a 3+ armor save, but less than 1 damage effectively on average. Whereas the Destructor, you're going to get at least 1 to go through on average, but it's not quite enough to say 2 to go through. So I've just put a 6, but it is slightly more than, only just slightly. But you will get 6 damage on average. Now let me just turn this into rapid fire, because we mentioned earlier that I didn't put the rapid fire on, and that is a big deal, especially for the Exterminator, because that's the rapid fire weapon here. So that's what it does. I'm just going to put it on the screen now for you. Scarabs go up to 6 dead, Warriors to 15, Destroyers go between 2 and 3, the Doomsday Ark you're now taking about 5, and the Monolith between 1 and 2 damage. Now of course there are variables, as always, we like to put the variables in at this point. Command Protocols is the first one. If you've got a Destroyer Lord, a Lokhust Lord rather, then not only are they going to provide a +1 to the hit roll, which is equivalent to heavy, but now you can actually move. Also they've got the Destroyer Cult ability, so critical hits are on a 5+ rather than a 6+. So those exploding 6s for the sustained hits ability will be going off on a 5+, as well as the lethal hits on the Destructors, they'll be going off on a 5+ too. There's also the Protocol of Conquering Tyrant, which is a very good stratagem to use, especially for the Exterminator weapon, because you're going to get to re-roll all your room rolls, and if you've got a character within the unit, then you're going to be doing the full range of it rather than at half range, which is cool. And also something else to note here, I just wanted to put this in this part of the video because it made sense. This is probably a really good unit to use the Veil of Darkness Relic on with the Exterminators, because if you're getting them, you're doing the Veil of Darkness Relic, you've got 36-inch range, you stay 9 inches away, bang, you can literally pick a target out. But yeah, I thought I'd throw that in there because it's somewhere to put it. Right, so let's bump up these units, let's buff the units up. We've got the Mythic Exterminators. We're going to be putting them at rapid fire range, of course a 3-man unit as we did before. This time we're adding Command Protocols, or a +1 to the hit roll. You can call it heavy if you want, they've got both essentially, but now we're moving around, getting a better line of sight and stuff. And we've got Exploding Fires because of the Destroyer Cult ability. Now I'm not going to use the stratagem because I think that's a slightly unfair advantage to the Exterminators, because you probably won't use it on the Destructors. And it is 1 CP, it's not something that you're going to be gaining as you make your list, whereas you will be gaining CP, but I think it's an unfair thing to do at this point. So the Exterminators, you're going to go from killing 6 Scarabs to between 8 and 9 Scarabs, so all of a sudden you're killing, well, you're already killing a unit. 6 Scarabs is as a max unit, but just as a way to show you it, it's going to go up virtually 2 or 3 more dead models. Warriors, you're now clearing a unit, which is very interesting. We'll talk about that in the outro. You're now clearing 22 warriors before they even get to do anything in terms of the animation. Very cool. Scorpion Destroyers, you're going from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. Again, that's nearly wiping a unit. Maybe the min units are getting wiped at that point. Doomsday Ark, you're going from 5 damage to 7 damage. We're not re-rolling 1s anymore, of course. And the Monolith, you're going between 1 and 2 to 2 and 3. Not the ideal target, really. Now, if you turn this over into the Ghost Destructors, well, this is what it does. Again, we're going to do a +1 to the hit roll with Command Protocols and Exploding Fives as well. You killed 2 Scarabs before, you now might kill 1 more. And the reason for that is just the hit roll is slightly easier. You're already wounded on 2s. You still only got 3 shots at the end of the day. You can't get any more shots than that. Warriors, kind of very similar. It's just the hit roll, so between 2 and 3 die now. Scorpion Destroyers, again, it's very similar. Anything that is infantry that you're wounded on 2s, you're pretty much going to just kill 2 or 3. So that part isn't really worth looking at for the Destructors. They shouldn't be getting targeted by the Destructors anyway, really. Doomsday Ark, of course, now you're re-rolling your room rolls over 1. And you go from being slightly less than damage, well, getting 1 through for damage 6 to slightly more than. Only just slightly more than. Because you're hitting on 2s now. It's more closer to just getting 1 through than it is to getting 2 through. That's why I've put a more than sign. And whereas with the Monolith, in fact, go back a step. This is kind of because of the invulnerable save. There's a 4+ invulnerable save, so the actual save kind of cancels it out slightly. Whereas with the Monolith, there's no invulnerable save, so that 2+ armor becomes a 6+ armor because of the -4 AP. So you're definitely going to get 6. You may get 12 damage, but you may get 2 going through then. So it all depends on how lucky you are. And it is down to a matter of 1 or 2 dice. 3 shots is quite hard with that. So in terms of the comparison, I'm just going to put them on the screen here. This is what they do in terms of in this scenario with command protocols and exploding 5s. And yeah, obviously the infantry or less options, the Exterminators are obviously going to win because you've got sheer amount of shots and the monolith. Of course, the Destructor is going to win. But what I found quite interesting is the Doomsday arc, which I'm going to highlight for you now. The Exterminators did on average 7 damage, and the Destructor weapons did 6. Well, I mean, the average was probably around 7, but you can't really get a 7. It's either 6 or 12, because it's either 1 dice goes through or 2 dice goes through. There is no in between with dice. And that's kind of the problem with Lokhust Heavy Destroyers with the Ghost Destructors. There is no in-between. Whereas with the Exterminators, there's loads of in-between because there's loads of dice and they're all just 1 damage. They're all just ding, 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 ding. So, interestingly, they have very similar averages, but on paper, the Exterminators are actually better against a vehicle with an in-run save as well. So I found that quite an interesting thing to show you. Now I want to do some comparisons with some Marines and some Tyranids again. I've slightly changed it up again here. I can't remember what I took out, to be honest with you. But I've added a Swarm Lord in there because its toughness is less than 14, of course. But it has an in-run save, so I thought it might make a bit of a difference to show you with these maps. So again, Command Protocols is involved and the Destroyer Cult abilities there as well. Termagants, you're flattening 34 with the Exterminator, because you're wounding on 2s, because we're strength 6, they're toughness 3, you're just flattening them, absolutely flattening them, and they're 1 wound models. Beautiful. Whereas with the Destructors, of course, 2 and 3, whatever. Intercessors, you're killing around 8, so min units of 5, you're just wiping them, and max units of 10, you're virtually almost wiping them. I mean, you could potentially opt to use the Command Protocol Conquering Tyrant at that point to just kind of get those extra 2. But we're not doing that for this moment in time. Again, 2 and 3 with the Destructor. Terminators, you're killing 2 and a third if you like. 2 and then 1 wound. 2 and, well yeah, it's 1 wound. It depends on if they've got the Storm Shield. You're killing 2 and a bit. 2 and a bit, mainly 2 really. Whereas the Destructors is actually less than 1 on average, because a Terminator's got a 2+ armor with a 4+ invulnerable save. So they get the 4+ invulnerable save. That's what makes it difficult. And they've got toughness 5, which, okay, that doesn't make any difference, does it? But you're not re-rolling 1s. You're not re-rolling 1s because they're infantry. So you've got to hit, you've got to wound, you've got to get through the invuln. That makes it difficult with 3 shots. The Exocrines, which are toughness, I always say this, I think they're toughness 10. Either way, you're wounding on 5s against them with your Exterminators. We're still throwing out 7 damage. Very similar to the Doomsday arcs there. We're still throwing out 7 damage. You're likely going to be doing 12+ with the Destructors. You're going to get at least 2 to go through because they've got no invulnerable save here. So they're going to go from a 3+ armor, which completely gets removed because you've got -4 AP. So because they've got no save, 2 out of your 3 dice will likely go through. You could get lucky and get all 3. But yeah, 2 on average should at least go through. The Swarm Lord, however, has the same sort of toughness, but has a 4+ invulnerable save. So it kind of goes back to 6 because of the invuln save. And that's where, again, even though this is a monster, the Lokhust Heavy Destroyers with the Exterminators are actually doing better. So yeah, long story short, I mean, let's analyse and conclude this. Yes, this is a select number of examples that I've showed you. I've only showed you an Exocrine and a Swarm Lord and a Terminator and a few of our units as well. So you could say, well, what about going up against all the Astra Militarum tanks? And, you know, it obviously matters faction to faction. But I've found that the Exterminators do a large amount of work against almost any target. I mean, obviously infantry in particular they do even better at, because sometimes they wound on 2s, but they're always re-rolling 1s against infantry. And because they're strength 6, they're normally as good as their toughness, or slightly better. So it gives them an advantage in terms of the wound roll. Also, it's one of those few units that can actually delete an entire brick of Necron warriors, a 20-man brick. I know that's Necrons versus Necrons again, but there's not many units in the game that will just totally wipe out 20 warriors when you've got, I mean, that's obviously clean. There's no like Technomancers there and a Cryptothrow, so you kind of have to add that as well. But there's not many units that can do it before you get to use your defense mechanisms, whether it's your Undying Legion stratagem, maybe it's a Ghost Arc, those kind of things, of course, and then you're just going to bring 7 back with the Reanimator as well. It's one of these units that could potentially just wipe out the whole unit instant before you can do anything. So in fact, that's something to look out for if you're playing with warriors, because they could opt to use another unit first to just take away 5, and you may just go, I'll wait till there's a few more gone before I do some sort of Undying Legion stratagem. But then they go and use their Lokhust Heavy Destroyers with the Exterminators and wipe the unit clean, so just watch out for that one. But yeah, the sheer amount of shots kind of almost guarantees you that the Exterminators do what you want them to do, whereas with the Lokhust Heavy Destroyers with the Destructors, it's very hit and miss with 3 shots, and especially if you're coming up against invulnerable saves, which have a half a chance of just wiping out your shot completely, the one that goes through, that is, because you've got to still hit and you've got to still wound. It's very likely that you do wound, and you're probably re-rolling 1s to wound as well. I think I kind of prefer the Doomstalkers at this moment over the Lokhust Heavy Destroyers, because you've got the potential of getting more shots, and I just take 3 of them anyway, to be honest, with the Sovereign Coronal. But at this moment, I definitely prefer the Lokhust Heavy Destroyers with the Exterminators. In fact, another point I want to make, you're not likely to take a Lokhust Lord with the Destructors. There's absolutely no point. I don't think the Command Protocols gives you enough for the 3 shots. And lethal hits, you're already wounding on sort of good anyway, and you're re-rolling 1s. So I don't think you need a Lokhust Lord with the Destructors, which means you need to rely more on the heavy keyword, which means you then have to stay stationary more often. Whereas the Exterminators have got the benefit of A, taking the Lokhust Lord, giving them the sustain hits 1, a benefit on 5s. You could then move around. So you've lost your heavy, but you've still got Command Protocols. And as we mentioned earlier in this video, maybe there's a Veil of Darkness in there, you pop them in, pop them out, bang, take out something completely massive with the sheer amount of shots. Use Command Protocol of Conquering Tyrant. It's an absolute menace. It's an absolute menace, and I would select them at this moment over the Destructors. So guys, I hope you found this video interesting and informative. If you have, let me know down in the comments below with a like, and make sure you are subscribed on your exits. Guys, thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.